According to martial arts legend, in 1566, a band of English traders turned for shelter to a Buddhist monastery at the foot of the Songshan Mountains in the Henan province of northern China. The name of the monastery was the Shaolin Temple. Inside the Temple of 1,000 Buddhas were the elite martial arts warriors of China, the soldier monks of Shaolin, engaged in a spectacle that was unlike anything these Westerners had seen before. But in the climate of dynastic intrigue and repression that characterized the dying days of the Ming Dynasty, the martial techniques under practice were a closely guarded secret. Questioned by the traders, their guide would offer only one explanation. Kung Fu, he said. They are training to master an art. It is, some believe, the most beautiful of all the martial arts. But save for an initiated few, the true nature of Kung Fu remains a mystery. It began with one man, a Buddhist monk, the third son of a Brahmin Indian king. His name was Bodhidharma. In 527 AD, Bodhidharma went to China to the court of the Chinese Emperor Wu. Buddhism, he learned, had been tampered with. It was no longer just an internal mental act of devoting oneself to Buddha, but one that now took specified public acts of devotion. Rituals involving calligraphy, the adornment of shrines, and the building of tributes honoring Buddha. When the emperor asked for Bodhidharma's reaction to the great temples and shrines he constructed to honor Buddha, Bodhidharma replied, "These are but as shadows of the forest. They are empty and have no substance." Bodhidharma would have to tackle the problem at its source, the legendary Shaolin Temple in northern China.
There are two schools of thought on what happened after Bodhidharma left the emperor's court. One is that he went to the Shaolin Temple, and he found them so secularized, so worried about money and worldly things, that he left them in disgust. He refused to teach them his special muscle changes philosophy, which blends mind and body harmony in the martial arts that we know today. He goes off to a cave, he stares at a wall for 9 years. The second school of thought is that instead of going to the Shaolin Temple first, he just went to the cave, stayed there for 9 years meditating, while disciples came seeking attention, until he found a disciple worthy of the information he had to impart.
In the 10th year, in a bid to become his first disciple, a monk severed his left arm. His act was the first evidence that Bodhidharma's message had been understood. What mattered was not the external, but the internal. Bodhidharma rose to the side of his first disciple, in whose honor the Shaolin monks would from then on salute Buddha with only one hand. It was time for the teachings to begin.
Bodhidharma was a proponent of the concept of qi, the vital energy or essence or life force that we all hold within us. This is a primary concept that's held within the Chan Buddhistic school of thought, or Zen Buddhism as we know it in the West. This qi, or vital essence, could be focused within, taking that inner focus and developing it through mental, spiritual, and physical discipline, which we know as the martial arts. You could aim that energy toward parts of your body. He called this linking energy. And then he could explode that energy into a part of his body for healing purposes, perhaps. That would be called exploding energy. This interworking with the qi is a very important part of all Chinese martial arts and the essence of the peaceful interdisciplinary aspect of martial arts worldwide.
Through Bodhidharma at Shaolin, the theory was it would be possible to maximize external physical strength by maximizing internal strength, the flow of the qi. For the monks of Shaolin, this meant one thing: survival. Throughout the temple's history, the monks had faced what appeared to be an irreconcilable conflict. They had to defend themselves against the threats posed by constantly shifting political alliances, while at the same time preserving the spiritual harmony that defined a life dedicated to Buddha. If Bodhidharma's beliefs and teachings about qi were accurate, the monks' ability to worship was also the basis of their ability to ward off aggressors. That was the theory. The question was, would Bodhidharma's theory work? In medicine, the existence of this unifying force, or qi, has long formed the very basis for the practice of acupuncture. In 652 AD, Sun Shumao found that qi flowed along precise meridians between the body's organs. Using tiny electrical charges generated by acupuncture stimulation, he could affect this energy field and redress imbalances, remove blockages, and ultimately heal patients. For contemporary Kung Fu practitioners, the existence of qi has never been under question. When properly focused, this is the energy that enables them to transcend the physical limitations of flesh and blood and perform feats that appear to challenge the impossible. In the 20th century, the advent of electromagnetic imaging technologies enabled Chinese scientists to gather proof of Qi's existence. The monks of the 6th century Shaolin Temple, though, could not turn to science. They had to put Bodhidharma's theory to the test. To maximize Qi, they meditated. To maximize linking energy, they practiced a form which became known as the Lohan, a series of 18 unique movements that, when combined with the right breathing technique, refined mind-body coordination. To develop explosive energy, they followed a training regimen of unparalleled severity, a regimen with one objective: to create a warrior whose resolve no aggressor could disturb. The tests of the Shaolin were no less extreme. The final test, given before a monk was allowed to become an emissary of the temple, was known formally as the Hall of the Wooden Men. To the monks, as the Corridor of Death. It was a test in which monks who lacked the capacity to defend themselves and their temple died an often painful death. The test consisted of a long corridor lined with 108 mechanical dummies primed to randomly release weapons with deadly precision and force. Blocking the exit sat a burning 300-pound cauldron. For those who reached the cauldron, the reward was the intense pain of burning flesh and the indelible brands of the Shaolin. A tiger on one arm and a dragon on the other. To survive was a victory of the Qi. The annals of Chinese history testify eloquently to the effectiveness of the Shaolin martial arts. And for more than 400 years, the temple prospered, but the political climate eventually shifted.
Their techniques became something of a threat to the political powers of the day. By 1570, the Manchus decided either the Shaolin monks were going to fall in line and tell them that they would serve them or there'd be a problem. Shaolin monks neglected to respond in time, and the Manchu forces came and obliterated the temple.
The monks who survived went underground to keep the fighting arts alive and formed the secret societies known as the Triads. For the next 300 years, the Triads became a focal point for political resistance. The auspices of the government has been declared a national treasure. Once again, it is the testing ground for the teachings of Bodhidharma, a testing ground whose rigor has changed little over the millennium. Part of the Kung Fu training regimen involves strengthening the muscles and toughening the body through repeated exercises. To strengthen the neck muscles, the Shaolin warrior may hang himself for 30 minutes or more at a time. Other regimens to develop the chi are no less difficult. Headbutting helps the Shaolin monks toughen their skulls. Resisting blows to the abdomen, where the chi is said to reside, builds internal strength and focus. It can take as little as 8 pounds of pressure to crack the human skull. Skillful manipulation of his chi, though, prevents this monk from getting hurt. This is the art of hard qigong. For the monks, as well as many traditional Chinese masters, hard qigong is an art form still widely practiced today. By focusing his qi, this master is able to make his body impervious to the blade of the sword, just as his warrior ancestors did thousands of years earlier. For over 15 centuries, the skill of hard qigong has protected the monks of Shaolin from assault. But a new assailant has emerged for which the techniques of Bodhidharma are ill-equipped: the tourist. Glorified by the media, the Shaolin Temple, still a holy shrine and monastery, has become a popular attraction. However, like countless times before, the ancient principles of Kung Fu are adapting and surviving, this time by moving to the New World, New York City. It is here in downtown Manhattan that Chinese monk Shi Yanming has opened the USA Shaolin Temple. To those who hunger for knowledge, he teaches the values and martial arts made famous at Shaolin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3.
Monk Shi Yanming began his 25-year study of Chan Buddhism and Shaolin Kung Fu at the age of 5.
7.
In 1992, he came to the United States. His motives, he believes, were those of Bodhidharma 15 centuries ago.
I want to stay here and teach Chinese Buddhism, Chinese culture, and Shaolin martial arts, and I want to help promote world peace.
Though New York City may seem like one of the last places he would like to teach his arts, monk Shi Yanming is quite content. As he says, the whole world is home to a Buddhist monk. The Shaolin martial arts belong to everyone. But China remains the source. Long-term, he hopes to build a larger school and set up a cultural exchange with the Shaolin Temple in northern China.
Bodhidharma's theory of being able to focus your qi to such an extent that you can heal your own body finds physical application in the art of dim mak. There are pressure points, it's a medical fact, that one can touch and cause unconsciousness. It is a healing power or an offensive power.
The dim mak technique is presumed to have come from the Chinese art of qian shui, or spotting, attacking the body's vital points. The premise is simple. If one's qi can be controlled within the confines of the body, it can be directed, as the ultimate defense, outside of the body, to short-circuit an opponent's nervous system and injure internal organs.